The Crotchety Old Men podcast is not a registered investment, legal, or tax advisor or a broker-dealer. All investment financial opinions expressed by or on the Crotchety Old Men podcast are from the personal research and experience of the owner of the site and are intended as educational material. Although best efforts are made to ensure that all information is accurate and up to date, occasionally unintended errors and misprints may occur. Before you invest or make any investment-based decisions, consider your own personal circumstances. You should do your own research and seek advice from a financial professional.
Greetings and good day from the Crotchety Old Men podcast. Hello, I'm Gary Smith, your co-host today. And why I tell you, it's a wonderful day to be here in the studio. Today I have all my family with me today. George Crumley and Paul P.C. Clemens, we're all here together, and we're looking forward to a wonderful podcast. Top of the day to you, gentlemen. What's up, George?
Smitty, everything's good, man, as usual. Just loving life and enjoying the fruits of my labor and just trying to learn as much as I can and pass on as much information as I can on a daily basis. So, everything's good. How about you, PC? How you doing?
I couldn't be any better. I've got my health. I've got my strength. And, when you got your health, you got your wealth. So who do we have today?
Well, man, we have this brother, I tell you, he's got a wealth of real estate experience and knowledge. Mr. Dorian Carter. He's a developer, investor, a broker, a property manager. He's a consultant in commercial real estate for the past 17 years or more. This guy, man, has a wealth of knowledge and experiences in just about every facet of commercial real estate, from industrial properties, multifamily, affordable housing, you name it, he's done it. And so we're blessed and we want to welcome today, Mr. Dorian Carter. As a matter of fact, he's the CEO and president of his own firm, On Point Partners, which I'm sure he's going to tell us a lot more about. Welcome to the podcast, Dorian.
Welcome, Dorian.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's awesome to be invited to talk on this platform. One, that y'all are definitely moving forward, and congratulations on the growth. It's awesome. Y'all have awesome topics.
Thank you for the compliment, man. Thank you. So, Dorian, of course, I read parts of your bio and things about how you got started. What you're doing, however. But if you don't mind, could you share with our audience, just exactly how did you get started in commercial real estate?
Yeah, I originally I was an investor in single-family homes and townhomes. I purchased them and using a strategy of buy and hold. That was my thing. And so I had this opportunity to take a commercial real estate course. And so I did. I actually changed majors in college from economics over to real estate, all from taking a one course. And so the rest was history. I graduated, but when I wanted to get into the industry, it was nobody that looked like me. So I literally went in a certification class of about 50 people, and it was no one in there that looked like me. And so many don't know, but mentorship is an important part of how people get into commercial real estate, especially from an African-American standpoint. Doors have to be open to let you in. And when you don't have many African-Americans in place in these positions, then it's hard to get in. And so I had the fortune of working for a national commercial brokerage firm. And the owner of that firm introduced me to a developer, African-American, in Jacksonville, Florida, where I learned all parts of commercial real estate, from development around shopping centers, major retailers, whether it was McDonald's, Publix, Walgreens. All of those I had the opportunity to sit there and learn how it was done. And so that's the key. We're still having that problem today, having people in place that can usher you into commercial real estate.
Wow, that's fantastic, man. And I'm certainly sure that as we continue on and get deeper into the segment, that you will not only just reveal, but share with us some of the successes and things of that nature that you've experienced along your journey in real estate. Um, since I'm on that note about successes, are there any deal stories that you can share with us? It don't have to be a success; it could be one of your biggest failures and what you learned from it. But how about sharing a deal story with us so that our audience can get an even better understanding of your travels?
Yeah, one is I'll tell you is when I was in Jacksonville, a McDonald's opportunity where it was a relocation. And the key thing people don't know, sometimes know about McDonald's, but don't know about McDonald's is one, you can't really own a McDonald's building. However, you can own the ground that a McDonald's sits on. So most people don't know that. So that was a project that I was infinite, where I was really a part of getting that relocation done into a shopping center in which the company I worked for owned. And I tell you, it was interesting before then, I didn't even know it was an opportunity to own single tenant net lease commercial real estate, meaning it wasn't until I started working for that organization that I learned that it was even possible. But working on those opportunities, you learn that it's a privilege to be a part of an opportunity like that as an African American, because most deals you don't see that happening today. So understanding that there's opportunity not only when you're working for somebody, but also a asset that you can own personally yourself. And sure, it's the same thing we see all the time. We're using all of these assets daily, whether it's Walgreens, dollar stores, not knowing that most people don't know that it's owned by investors like you and me. Not quite like you and me, but you know what I'm saying, by individuals. And we need to find a way where African Americans can be involved in more of these deals.
Man, that sounds good. Before we get too far away from your initial couple of statements about the mentorship, just to kind of give you a little bit of my background, I got my real estate license back in 2000. So I've been in real estate about 23 years myself, and most recently decided to switch over to the commercial side. So I'm with Keller Williams Commercial, but interesting enough. And not knowing your story, I kind of experienced the same thing as far as being the only one in the room and trying to find somebody to, help guide me through, how do I get started? I wasn't fortunate enough to find one gentleman that's been helping me out with partners and learning some of the business. But from your perspective, what would you tell or a new agent on the commercial side as far as how you get in this business, some of the things you need to look for, some of the pitfalls you need to stay away from? What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, you definitely want to be educated. What I've found that even now you have many residential focus agents that are doing commercial deals. And it's so imperative that you get the education up front before jumping in. I'll give you an example. You have residential agents out there now doing leases for business owners that may look like them. But if you don't understand fully a lease and how leases work, now you're putting your clients at risk. I mean, it's a couple of things that you can change in a lease that switches the advantage over to the landlord versus you. So most importantly, first is getting that education. And there are courses out there. Of course, I teach a course as well in commercial real estate investment, land development. And it's imperative to get that education up front. And secondly, get a mentor. If I can say it 10,000 times, it's a mentor, because you're not only putting yourself at risk, especially as a broker, if you're not being mentored, then if you make a mistake, you could very well cost a client a lot of money as well as lose your license. And so those two things I would say all day long, that there's very few schools out there teaching commercial real estate. And even if they are, you have to get OJT and mentorship to really close the gap.
Yeah, I mean, well said. And, that's one of the things that we often stress here on the Crotchety Old Man podcast is how important the information and the education in whatever area you want to go in is so important. And that's, that's one of the things that I've learned as I'm pursuing this commercial path, is that the mentorship is invaluable because of the fact that, you don't want to put your client at risk, and you want to be able to put yourself in the best position. It can't be about the money,
Yeah.
Smitty told me a long time ago, don't chase the money, chase the opportunity. Okay. So that's what I'm always looking for, opportunity, coming into this, knowing that, as I gain knowledge, the money will come, at some point. So, but I'm not out here with just thinking, oh, money, money, money. I'm thinking, how do I learn? How do I get better? Where can I get the information? So I think it's such a, here again, such a privilege, and I guess God acting in the right way, having you on today to show us, how this is done, because there's probably other, Georges out there that want to get in the commercial side, but just not aware because of the fact that statement you made earlier about the land as opposed to the building. And that was kind of my eye opener also to commercial real estate. So, yeah. So continue. I mean, one of the things I'm looking at on your bio said your goal is to educate 1,000 individuals in investing. Come on, lead us down that path. How does that work?
Yeah, like I said, we're in a microwave society, right, where people want to get it and get it quick. However, if we, and namely me, but it's always we, right? I'm not the only one, but I am a person that wants to educate African Americans about commercial real estate. Because here, once I teach you and you get it, whether you're doing it for clients or you're doing it as part of a company, you've actually learned how to build wealth yourself. And so that's my goal, to teach individuals how to do it themselves. Because now once you do it yourself, you can pass it on to generations. And we all know land is really the key to how wealth is built among our families, right? And so absolutely, it's not enough to have houses. It's to take that and now move that into commercial real estate. And I just want to make one statement. You do not have to go into residential or housing first to get the commercial real estate. It's just getting the knowledge and the mentorship and moving. We have so much. We got land in our families. We don't even know what to do with that land. Out in a rural area sitting there can just as well be developed and put trailers on them and rent them out. I mean, that's how you produce wealth, by producing cash flow in real estate. That's how wealth is created.
Right.
And one of the things that you talked about, Dorian, and one of the things that was really a glaring point for me in your bio was building strong communities. And sometimes we see developers coming through communities, and they actually decimate the communities. And we're talking about communities where people have been living there 40, 50, 60 years. Their lifelong investment has gone into this community. So you as a developer, what strategies do you put into place to increase the value of that particular community in which you intend to build?
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing wrong with coming into a community and making it better and developing. My problem is the wrong people are doing it. And that's where the education comes in. We should have, my vision when I was sitting working for corporate America before I got into real estate full time, I was in IT managing a large team of 18 people. The vision that God gave me first was, and the problem why I got into commercial real estate is I would go to my side of the town where we have history at, and there's not the same services in retail. Well, it's not there because we haven't been there to develop it, to create it. And so my thing is teaching the right people that have that has a desire to change the community they are in, the principles around commercial real estate where they can do it themselves. I believe we should be changing our communities ourselves and not somebody else coming in and putting it what they want in and now changing it, and then the demographics change. So what I do is I'm educating, and I'm using the same principles that they use on all sides of town. When you learn commercial real estate, it doesn't change. The numbers are the numbers, whether you are here or you in England. Capitalization, cash flow creates value, creates wealth. It doesn't change no matter where you're at. So if we learn it, now we can change our communities. And you're starting to see more of that.
Okay, so now you've mentioned this word twice, cash flow. So I want you to kind of expound on that a little bit, because of the fact that, if I'm sitting here listening to this podcast, I'm trying to figure out why these gentlemen are talking about commercial real estate, because that's for, people that's got a lot of money. But that's kind of, I guess, the misnomer about commercial real estate. Commercial real estate, there's a lot of people that can take advantage of that. You get into commercial real estate for two reasons. One is if you're a business owner, and the other one if you want to create cash flow. So can you talk about the cash flow part and how you create cash flow with commercial?
Yeah, most of the time in commercial real estate, people that have money started out small. And we equate these shopping centers with, I got to start in commercial real estate at a shopping center or a dollar store, when actually it's that raggedy building, that piece of land there that you can probably rehab and put someone in it that pays you rent and also pays your taxes, also pays your insurance, which is triple net, and the maintenance on the building. And so cash flow is created to understand how commercial real estate works versus any other type of investment in property. Is when you're dealing with commercial, the same appraisal is done on a residential property, on a commercial property as a residential property, except the commercial property has this little section that's on even the residential appraisal that says income section. That's cash flow. Commercial real estate is value based on that cash flow over all the other parts in there. So the more cash flow you generate, whether it's a strip center or it's the tenant you have in the building that you own, increases the value. And so, not to get too deeply in that, that's the key part of commercial real estate, and the length of the lease. Residential, you got somebody moving out once a year, typically, somebody in and out. Now you got to do something new. Well, with commercial real estate, especially in the passive space, when you own a dollar store, that money is consistent for 5, 6, 7 years or more until you decide you want to sell it and go buy something else. And so that's really the key. That's what we want our communities to understand. You need to be in these types of investments that can generate consistent cash flow. And I know Gary said this quite a few times. His slogan is sleep well at night. That swan money is what he called it. And that's what matters here. That's how we're going to build wealth in our communities.
Amen. Amen to that. Dorian, man, I'm over here bursting, not only with pride and just thinking of how much wisdom that you're sharing with us in regards to that cash flow and capital building. Actually, the access to capital, which is somewhat deterred many in the African American community, because, like you said, we feel that we have to be already rich in order to get into commercial real estate. And I'm so glad that you negated that myth. When it comes to generational wealth, and well, before I even go there, I want to think stick on another point in terms of commercial real estate. Another advantage, if you will, that commercial real estate offers is the additional tax benefits, with commercial real estate, in that, you have so many tax, matter of fact, the tax code has a lot of benefits that relates to commercial real estate. Could you touch just a little bit on it? I know you don't want to get too far over into the weeds on that. That'll be another subject. But what are some of the tax benefits of commercial real estate ownership?
Yeah, it's huge. I had a client recently told me if he'd have known that 20 years ago the tax benefits that commercial real estate had, he would have started a long time ago. So accelerated depreciation, depreciation of the asset, especially when you acquire it and do some work to it. You get many tax write-offs around it. And just understand that that's where it's phantom money, right? But it's real because it's on the tax books. It ain't even, it's real money because it's not real in a sense of that it's happening, but it is happening because it's in the tax code. That's done in many areas, but commercial real estate is that access to tax write-offs is included in this asset class more than any other asset class. It's just a fact. So you're missing a super opportunity to expand if you're buying houses to do apartments or do a single tenant net lease real deal, because now you change your whole portfolio. So these tax write-offs, it's real. It's part of the tax code, but you got to be in it to get it. So if you ain't in it, you got yourself a problem until you get in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's so well said. I mean, that's one of the things that we've I guess we're on a theme here, because last week we talked about real assets, precious metals. So we're kind of getting away from just your traditional stock market for those that are about to retire and those that are already in retirement. I think it's so important that they see that there's other avenues to put your money that we may be missing. You got a large 401k, you can invest in a piece of commercial property, like you said, triple net lease, where once you've purchased the property, the person that leases the building is responsible for everything that goes on with that, everything from the landscaping up to the roof. So from a triple net lease perspective, you're sitting back home just taking advantage of those types of things with your retirement money. So these are the kind of things that we got to continue to spread the word about. I mean, I think that's so important. So tell us more about your class.
What we teach is an A to Z approach. So it's marketing. It's the marketing and understanding marketing around commercial real estate, the investment side, how to set up the deal, the spreadsheet side of understanding how to craft a pro forma, and doing the financial sides of a commercial real estate deal. So what happens is we teach an A to Z approach, because in reality, we can teach you all parts of this too. We also include a mindset portion, because we realize if you don't believe that you can accomplish it, we can teach you a lot, but you got to believe that you can actually succeed at it. And so there's not a lot of information that you're going to be taught unless you have a mentor or a program. And we do that. We teach an A to Z approach around commercial real estate along with mentoring. We hold your hand through it. We hold your hand until you do your first deal. And so in the end, that's what it's about. We take a holistic approach, and we're going to keep doing this at minimum until I get 1,000 people that I've educated in commercial real estate and in investing in deals. So,
man, that's awesome, Dorian. That's awesome. And going back to our theme, and as we talked about looking for opportunities. And so with the looking for opportunities rather than looking for deals, throughout our communities, we're driving around we see these vacant lots or either a dilapidated building, but it happens to be in a commercially zoned area. And this is really critical because if you're looking for opportunities, we are driving by these opportunities every day. The problem is we don't know what an opportunity looks like. So in this classes that you're speaking of, I know in your curriculum that you teach people on how to look for opportunities. Because just like the residential investor looks for an ugly house in a nice neighborhood, we too should be looking for an ugly commercial property in a nice cash flow, a highly trafficked area. All right. And so the principles are the same. If you find a building, and I think you mentioned it earlier, Dorian, where you can find that building, redevelop that building, and then re-tenant that building because there's always businesses growing every day. People looking for space, people looking for a place to open their restaurant or their tattoo parlor. We could go on and on. The opportunities are endless. And so, for those looking for a way of finding opportunities and a way of being able to structure deals and things like that, there's no better thing than to find that information. Dorian, your class sound like something that heck I want to sign up for because you never stop learning. And so, man, I'm so appreciative to hear you say that you do have a curriculum. You also position yourself as a mentor to help others, and it looks like you put the three P's in proper perspective. That's principles, people, and then profits, man. And for that, I commend you. Commend you, brother. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and also the key part to this is too that often deals are what sometimes people see as something nobody else wants, and so actually it's something that only you recognized and was willing to do something with to make it an opportunity. So stop passing by those assets, get on the phone, do the research, find out who owns that, and of course, come take the class from me, and we'll teach you how to monetize that thing because that's the key to it. I don't care if it's raw land or what it is, we'll teach you how to monetize it. And guess what? Once you get that knowledge, you just repeat it over and over. And that's really the key.
Speaking of monetizing, Dorian, uh, oftentimes I hear and people hear a lot about mixed use as it relates to development, and if you could explain to our listeners how mixed use helps to develop the communities, I think that would be an interesting point.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just talking about this with my team today. Uh, Opportunities, for instance, one what right comes with my mind, and what I'm thinking about now is when you have a nice corner where you can have retail on the first floor and maybe living spaces um, 2 or 3 floors up, or you may have a grocery anchored center, and then on part of that property you might have some apartments or housing. And so this is one key factor, in my opinion, of reestablishing minority communities or struggling communities. We need certain services, and the best way to include services is near housing, right? You need grocery stores near housing. And that's really the key to redoing a lot of these neighborhoods out there, looking at mixed use categories. And cities often support that, but it's not enough to have people living and don't have access to grocery stores, right? And so that's a very important piece, a necessity, a real necessity that we need to look at when crafting deals, how to include not just housing, but the services that people need as well.
And I think mixed use in the cities that allow mixed use projects is to help retain the people that are in those communities that are getting ready to be developed, as opposed to herding them over to a whole nother side of town. Half of them don't know where they're going to go, or even if they can even afford moving to a different area. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, certainly. And what you see now mostly are the neighborhoods are closer in the town, right? there's a shift in how people are living. In town is becoming more expensive, while the dilapidated, tough neighborhoods right around the downtowns are moving. Those people are moving out, and so certainly that is a good way or perspective to look at it, is how we keep the needed services in these neighborhoods. You see it in the neighborhood I'm in. Well, I'm not necessarily in that neighborhood, but it's near Charlotte, where you got a corridor called Beatties Ford Road that's being developed now, and it's changing fast. I mean, houses, gentrification went on part of it, but now you're seeing some other things to kind of reshape that, and it's tough. It's tough because a lot of people want to move to the suburbs, to where they believe is safe. Even if you do that, you still need to find a way to invest in your community, in that community, and ride that wave of increased value up. We need to stop selling property and selling it and not capitalizing on the increased value. Hold on to it and build wealth with it.
So, touching on that, affordable housing, that seems to be the buzzword that we hear, from every politician in inner cities and government. So what's your take on affordable housing?
Well, generally what happens when markets get tougher, affordable housing becomes more of a focus, even for market rate developers, because the numbers stop working at some point as interest rates go up. So what happens is you have market rate investors now looking to include affordable housing in their projects, and then they go get the money from cities that want to reach that goal. So now projects that probably wouldn't have had affordable housing in is starting to have affordable housing. One, because banks now can give you a different rate. They can cut a quarter point off your rate, and then cities can put in dollars, which make the project work. But you're right, the interest rate's going up now, and so you're seeing now for the past 6 to 12 months, as these interest rates going up, one project after another have been canceled, and that's because the numbers don't work. Everything was expensive, and prices was going up. As you know, inflation is at an all-time high, and so what it causes is it causes projects not to become feasible anymore. And so affordable housing, you should see an increase in it as the prices come down. But what happens is cities and banks tend to focus on those projects because it has more investments from local municipalities to federal, especially as it concerns the Community Reinvestment Act, CRA. Banks get credit for doing projects in community that has a benefit to the community, and it tackles things like workforce housing, affordable housing, and producing jobs. And so that's what you're going to see. You're not going to see construction stop. It's going to increase with more affordable housing because that's where the projects start to make more sense.
And just to piggyback off of George's question, what is your take on these projects where they're building tiny homes? You might have an area where you might have 20 or 30 homes, like they have these projects in Detroit that have started that in some other places around the country. What is your take on the tiny home projects?
Well, me being a product of the projects and some tough living, going from house to house as a kid, I'm all for whatever it takes to get someone housing. If that's a small house, big house, medium-sized house, I don't care what it is. I care about people being off the street. And tiny houses are been done everywhere. I actually have a friend of mine that's a developer, and he has one in a rural community. And so it's absolutely a great idea, especially since family sizes are getting smaller, right? I mean, some people just don't need much space, but they need a roof over their head. So that's definitely important. I don't think you're going to see that die off. It's going to continue to increase. And so it's an excellent way to build a community, especially when you got land.
Man, that's some good stuff. And this has been a great podcast. So tell us, Dorian, if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to, get into your class, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website is workwithdoriancarter.com. And on the front of that page there, you'll see where you can schedule a appointment with me to talk about your needs. I believe in getting people trained, but I want to make sure we get definitely a program that makes sense for what you want to achieve, your goals, your financial goals. It's not enough for me to train you, but we don't focus on your goals and what you're trying to reach. So definitely schedule an appointment with me. Click that link, and then we can talk more about what you're trying to achieve and how one of my courses will benefit you. And of course, I'm on social media on Instagram and Facebook. But definitely, if you want to get right to me, and that link pipe goes right to my calendar. So click on that link and schedule some time with me.
And what's
So
the
on
link?
Instagram, I'm sorry.
It's workwithdoriancarter.com. Workwithdoriancarter.com. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Dorian L. Carter. It's only one of me in commercial real estate. So if you see Dorian L. Carter in commercial real estate, that's me. And of course, I think I have a good looking face. So
Yeah, we do too. Man, this has been good. This has been some really good stuff. And like I said, it's been near and dear to my heart because when Smitty kind of opened my eye to commercial real estate, my eyes have been wide open ever since. And I'm hoping that our audience kind of gets the gist of why we're talking about commercial real estate, because it's a great investment tool for those that want to create cash flow and those that want to own businesses. Here again, it's a great tool. And then for those that want to get into the actual real estate side of it, here again, it's well kept secret, so we want to make sure we get that word out. And I think by doing this podcast is going to help to get the word out. And obviously with your goals of educating over 1,000 people on the dispelling the myth of commercial real estate is going to be a great tool also. But here again, so thank you very, very much for attending. In parting, is there anything else you'd like to say to our audience?
yeah, one of the initiatives I got on this training is about training kids at HBCUs. I don't want to say kids, young adults. I got a 23-year-old daughter. She don't like being called kids. Young adults. My nonprofit is Advanced Wealth Education. It's advwealth.org. But if you know of kids, again, young adults that are juniors and seniors at HBCUs looking to learn commercial real estate and then impact their communities and also get a job once you graduate, hit me up on that website or either website. I'll know, just tell me what you're writing about, and surely I'm going to get back with you. And the key is building wealth in our communities. I'm dedicated to doing it, whether it's young adult or adults. Y'all know who y'all are. It's we, right? But I care about impacting our community and building wealth, just as I want to do it for my family. But this is my passion and mission and what I do. So, and I want to thank Gary Smith. Man, years ago, I met Gary on LinkedIn, and I drove in the snow to meet him, flew in the middle of winter to see him. And, I'm from the South, so that took some work. But thank you, Gary, for inviting me on, but thank you also for your years of mentorship as well.
The pleasure is all mine, Dorian. I tell you, again, I've been just sitting here with a big smile on my face and just thanking God for the relationship that we developed over the years. And, I know it meant a lot to you, but it meant a heck of a lot to me because I'm thinking, man, this guy's getting on a plane, flying all the way from North Carolina to come to cold Detroit, Michigan to talk to me. And from that point on, we just evolved, and not only the information and certainly the compensation that we've been able to achieve over the years. And I echo your sentiments of us, each one teach one, And so I just, the Lord put it on my heart and blessed me to get into commercial real estate over 15 years ago. I didn't want to be just a spook who sat by this door. I want to be that one who removed the door. And so I challenge each and every one of you, if you have a compassion or a passion to either get into commercial real estate from a agent perspective, or more importantly, get into commercial real estate from a wealth creating perspective. Because when you look around you, a lot of these buildings and properties that we all take our money to and spend our money in, they're not reinvesting it into us, our kids, or our communities. And so we can challenge and we can change that by taking advantage of the opportunities that we pass by every day, taking courses like Dorian is offering, reading books and things of that nature. But whatever you do, put the knowledge into action and don't be delayed, denied, or deterred because of money. And with that, George, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Man, this has been a good podcast. A lot of good information. I mean, there's nothing more that I can say. I have to thank you, Dorian, for coming on, and definitely after you stating what your goals are from an information, education, exposure, and opportunity perspective. I mean, they're right in line with the Thecrotchetyo Old Men podcast. I think we're going to have to make you an honorary member of the Thecrotchetyo Old Men. So that means you definitely got to come back at some point. But in parting, PC, what kind of words you got for us today?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Dorian for his insights on nation building, wealth building, building healthy and valuable communities, which is something that I witness on a daily basis that doesn't happen with developers coming out of different towns, out of different countries and whatnot, and not having the people's intent in mind. And so my hat's off to you. Kudos to you, brother. And I'm going to close with this comment. Turn your demons into art, your shadow into a friend, your fear into fuel, your failures into teachers, your weaknesses into reasons to keep fighting. Don't waste your pain. Recycle your heart.
All right. Well said. And as we always say in closing on the Thecrotchetyo Old Men podcast, if you didn't know,
now you
Now
know.
you know.
Take care.
Peace out, brothers.
All right.
This is Dr. Paul Clemens with the Thecrotchetyo Old Men podcast. If you're interested in financial tools to build wealth, and you're interested in ways to maximize your health through holistic alternatives, then you are just the audience that we're looking for. Tune in each week, every Thursday, to the Thecrotchetyo Old Men podcast, where George Crumley, Gary Smith, and I offer you in-depth discussions on health and wealth. Subscribe to the Thecrotchetyo Old Men podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.